The Kentucky air, thick with late summer humidity and the scent of honeysuckle clinging to the porch screen, felt heavy. Tammy Slaton shifted in her specially reinforced chair, the familiar creak a counterpoint to the frantic buzzing of cicadas outside. Across from her, perched on a less sturdy-looking dining chair, sat a young production assistant fiddling nervously with a release form. The usual chaos of filming, the boom mics, the bustling crew, Amy's loud laughter echoing from the kitchen, was absent. This wasn't a regular scene for 1,000-pound sisters. This was something else. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tammy took a slow, deliberate breath, the oxygen cannula hissing softly beneath her nose. Her face, dramatically transformed from the woman who once struggled to breathe unaided, was set in an expression the cameras rarely captured: absolute, unwavering resolve. Gone was the performative frustration, the sometimes tearful defiance, the self-deprecating humor that had fueled 6 seasons of TLC's hit reality show. In its place was a profound stillness, a depth that spoke of sleepless nights and a decision forged in the quietest hours before dawn. "Are you sure about this, Tammy?" Amanda asked softly, leaning against the doorframe. Her usual brash confidence was tempered with concern. Chris stood beside her, arms crossed, his gaze fixed on his sister, understanding dawning in his eyes before she'd even spoken. "Yeah, Tam," Chris murmured. "You know what this means." Tammy met their eyes, then looked past them, towards the living room where Michael was helping Amy wrangle Gage and Glenn, their shrieks of toddler joy a jarring contrast to the tension thickening in the small room. She thought of the years compressed into highlight reels. The hospital beds, the tracheostomy, the rehab facilities, the relentless struggle against her own body and the demons whispering in her ear. She thought of the public triumphs, the weight loss milestones celebrated with confetti cannons, the wedding to Caleb, the devastating grief of his loss. She thought of the private agonies magnified for millions, the online vitriol, the invasive speculation, the constant feeling of being a spectacle. "I'm sure," Tammy said, her voice low but surprisingly steady. "More sure than I've been about anything since I decided to fight for my life." She adjusted the thin gold band on her finger, Caleb's ring. "It's time." The production assistant cleared his throat. "Okay, Tammy. Whenever you're ready. Just speak clearly into the mic. And remember, this is just for the producers first. No cameras rolling yet." He offered a weak, encouraging smile that didn't reach his eyes. Tammy nodded. She closed her eyes for a second, gathering the words that had been circling her mind like vultures for months. When she opened them, she looked directly at the small microphone clipped near her collar. "Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Tammy Slaton," she began, the formal tone unfamiliar. "And for 6 seasons, I've shared my life with you. The highest highs, the lowest lows. The surgeries, the setbacks, the love, the loss, my journey." She paused, her knuckles whitening slightly where they gripped the armrests. "You've watched me fight to reclaim my health, my mobility, my independence. And I am so grateful for the support, the prayers, the people who genuinely rooted for me." Another breath. The hiss of oxygen filled the silence. Amanda shifted her weight. Chris remained statue still. But, Tammy continued, the single word dropping like a stone, "that journey, the real journey, it's reached a point where the cameras, the constant scrutiny, the pressure of being Tammy from the show, it's become a barrier. Not a bridge. A wall." She leaned forward slightly, her gaze intense, aimed at the unseen producers who would hear this first. "My therapy, the real work I'm doing, isn't just about the weight anymore. It's about healing wounds that run deep. Wounds that were there long before TLC, wounds that got picked at and exposed under the lights. Healing requires privacy. It requires safety. It requires not having every tear, every argument, every moment of doubt dissected on national television." She saw Amanda's quick intake of breath, Chris's slow nod. They knew. They'd lived it too. "So," Tammy declared, her voice gaining strength, ringing with a finality that sent a chill down the spine of the young PA, "effective immediately, I am retiring from 1,000-pound sisters. I will no longer be a participant in this show. Silence. Thick, suffocating silence, broken only by the distant shouts of the children and the relentless cicadas. The PA's pen clattered to the floor. Amanda's hand flew to her mouth. Chris closed his eyes, a weary acceptance settling on his features. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This isn't a negotiation, Tammy pressed on, anticipating the storm to come. This isn't a tactic. This is me, finally putting my mental and emotional health, my recovery, first. The journey you followed publicly is ending. My real journey, the one that matters most, needs space and quiet to continue. She sat back, the oxygen cannula the only movement. I love my family. I always will. But my participation in this show ends now. The fallout was immediate and seismic. Within the Slaton household, the news landed like a grenade. Amy burst into tears, a confusing mix of anger and fear. But the show? How we gonna pay the bills, Tammy? The boys? What about us? Michael hovered nervously behind her, his expression unreadable but tense. It ain't just your life, Tammy. Amy cried, her voice shrill. We built this together. Through everything. I know, Amy, Tammy said, her voice quieter now, laced with sadness but no apology. But I can't keep sacrificing me for the show. Not anymore. My head, it ain't right, Amy. The things people say, the pressure, it's killin' me slower than the weight ever did. Chris stepped in, a calming presence. Amy, breathe. Tammy's got a point. We all knew this couldn't last forever. We gotta respect her choice. It's her health. But the money? Amy wailed, the practical terror of their precarious financial reality laid bare. Amanda, ever the pragmatist, though visibly shaken, tried to mediate. Look, the network ain't gonna take this lying down. Let's figure this out before the lawyers start calling. The network, predictably, did not take it lying down. Panic rippled through TLC headquarters. 1,000-pound Sisters was a ratings juggernaut, a cornerstone of their lineup. Tammy, especially post-weight loss and post-Caleb, was arguably the show's most compelling figure, the symbol of dramatic transformation and heartbreaking resilience. Her departure wasn't just losing a cast member. It threatened the show's entire narrative engine. Calls flooded Tammy's phone, producers, executives, even high-powered network lawyers. Their tones ranged from pleading to threatening. They dangled renegotiated contracts with astronomical figures. They invoked breach clauses buried deep in the labyrinthine contracts signed years ago, when Tammy was desperate, immobile, and saw the show as her only lifeline. They spoke of lawsuits, of crippling financial penalties, of destroying the legacy she'd built. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tammy, bolstered by her therapist and a newly hired, steely-nerved entertainment lawyer named Evelyn Shaw, held firm. Ms. Shaw, a woman whose quiet demeanor belied a ferocious intellect, calmly dissected the network's threats. The contract has morality clauses and provisions regarding participant well-being, Tammy, she explained during a tense conference call, the speakerphone crackling with the voice of a furious network VP. We have extensive documentation from her medical team and therapist stating that continued participation poses a significant risk to her mental health and ongoing recovery. That supersedes your desire for ratings. We are prepared to litigate this very publicly if necessary. The network sputtered. A public lawsuit where TLC was seen forcing a woman recovering from profound trauma and loss back onto reality TV against medical advice? That was a PR nightmare they couldn't afford. Meanwhile, the public vacuum created by the sudden halt in filming and the network's frantic damage control became a breeding ground for speculation. Leaks, strategically planted or genuine, began to surface. Tabloid headlines screamed. Tammy quits. 1,000 LB Sisters faces axe. Slaton family feud, Tammy's exit splits sisters. TLC in panic mode, can show survive without Tammy? Secret health crisis? Insiders say Tammy mentally unstable. Online forums and social media erupted. Fans were divided. Many applauded Tammy's courage. Go Tammy! Put yourself first. You've given us enough. Reality TV is toxic. Good for her for getting out. Protect your peace, Queen. The way they exploited her grief after Caleb was disgusting. She owes them nothing. Others, however, echoed Amy's fears and the network's greed. So selfish. What about Amy and the kids? She just pulled the rug out. Without Tammy's drama, the show is dead. Thanks for killing it for everyone. She got famous and rich off this and now she bails? Convenient. Probably just a ploy for more money. She'll be back. The most insidious rumors, likely originating from anonymous production sources, painted Tammy as emotionally fragile, potentially regressing, or manipulated by outsiders. These narratives stung, reinforcing the very reasons Tammy needed to escape the fishbowl. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. A week after her announcement, Tammy found herself sitting across from a senior network executive, David Vance, flown in for damage control. The setting was a sterile conference room in a Louisville hotel. Evelyn Shaw sat beside Tammy, a silent fortress. Amanda was there for moral support, her expression wary. Tammy, Vance began, oozing a practiced charm that didn't reach his cold eyes. We understand you've been under tremendous strain. Caleb's passing, your health journey, it's been extraordinary. We admire your strength. He leaned forward. But the show, it's more than just a show. It's your family's story. Amy's story. Your fans' connection to you. Walking away, it feels abrupt. Final. Is there truly no room for compromise? Perhaps a reduced role? Special episodes focusing solely on your continued progress off camera? We can make it work. Tammy listened, her gaze steady. She saw the calculation behind his words. He wasn't offering compromise. He was offering a slower extraction, a way to keep milking her story while giving the illusion of concession. Mr. Vance, Tammy said, her voice clear. I appreciate what you're trying to do. But reduced role still means cameras. It means producers. It means wondering what moment they'll twist, what tear they'll zoom in on. It means headlines speculating on my every move. She shook her head slowly. My therapist says healing needs a sanctuary. My sanctuary can't have cameras in it. Not even sometimes. Not even 4 special episodes. Vance's smile tightened. Tammy, be realistic. The contracts are being handled by Ms. Shaw, Tammy interrupted gently but firmly. My decision stands. I'm done. Amanda spoke up, her voice sharp. And what about Amy? What about the rest of us? You gonna strong-arm them into carrying on without her? Turn it into Amy yells at her kids, the show? Or force-feed us Chris's gym routine? The show is Tammy and Amy. Always has been. Take Tammy out, and the heart's gone. You know it. Vance floundered. We have confidence in the Slaton family's resilience and appeal. The show's appeal was watching 2 sisters fight impossible odds, together, Amanda shot back. One fighting the weight, the other fighting to help her, fighting her own battles too. You take Tammy off that screen, you take away the impossible odds part. You just got Amy dealing with tantrums and couponing. That ain't the show people signed up for, and you know it. The truth hung heavy in the air. Vance had no real counter. The show's DNA was the complex, often fraught, symbiotic relationship between the sisters. Tammy's physical transformation had been the show's dramatic spine, her absence left a narrative void impossible to fill. The meeting ended in stalemate. The network, realizing legal action was a losing battle and a PR disaster, shifted tactics. They turned their focus entirely on Amy. Offers were sweetened. New concepts were floated, Amy and family, focusing on her life as a mother, Slaton sisters, next chapter, attempting to pivot to Amanda and Chris more prominently. Scripts were hastily drafted emphasizing Amy's new journey without Tammy. Amy was torn. The financial security was a siren song. But filming without Tammy felt unnatural, wrong. The dynamic was off. The cameras felt more intrusive without her sister beside her, sharing the burden of the gaze. The producers pushed for conflict, for drama, but it felt hollow, forced. Viewers, sensing the fundamental shift, began to tune out preview clips. Online buzz turned skeptical. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tammy, meanwhile, began carving out her sanctuary. She spent quiet mornings on her porch, sipping coffee, listening to the birds, not worrying about a mic pack or a camera angle. She attended therapy sessions without the subconscious awareness that her rawest moments could become next week's cliffhanger. She visited Caleb's grave, speaking to him in true privacy, her grief no longer public property. She cautiously explored friendships offline, people who liked her, not the TV persona. The withdrawal symptoms from the adrenaline of constant filming and public attention were real. Moments of crippling anxiety hit. The silence sometimes felt overwhelming after years of noise. But beneath it, a fragile new feeling took root: peace. Authenticity. The sense that her life was finally, truly, her own. She kept in touch with her family. Things with Amy were strained, fragile. The financial fear was real, and Tammy wrestled with guilt. She set up a trust fund for Gage and Glenn, a quiet act of love and responsibility. She supported Amy in finding other avenues, a potential tell-all book, carefully managed, sponsored content that felt authentic. The path was uncertain, but it was theirs to forge, not TLC's. The official announcement came not from a dramatic confessional, but through a simple, jointly drafted statement released by Tammy's lawyer and TLC. After 6 remarkable seasons, Tammy Slaton has made the difficult decision to step away from 1,000-pound sisters to focus entirely on her continued health and personal well-being. TLC respects Tammy's courageous choice and wishes her nothing but the best in her ongoing journey. The future of the series is currently under review. Under review was corporate speak for Dead in the Water. Everyone knew it. The final nail came weeks later. TLC announced the postponement of the next season, citing a need for creative reevaluation. Ratings for the network's attempts to fill the slot plummeted. Articles analyzed the end of an era and the unsustainable nature of trauma TV. Tammy heard the news while tending to a small pot of flowers on her porch, petunias, Caleb's favorite. A text from Chris simply read, "Guess that's that. Proud of you, sis." She looked out at the quiet Kentucky street. No production vans. No cameras. Just the dappled sunlight through the trees and the distant sound of a lawnmower. The show that had saved her life, in a way, by forcing her to confront her mortality, had also nearly consumed her soul. She had traded one form of survival for another. The cost had been immense: public scrutiny, exploited grief, a fractured but healing relationship with her sister. The show was likely doomed. Her family's primary source of income severed. The future was uncertain, perhaps even financially precarious. Yet, as she breathed in the scent of the petunias and the cut grass, feeling the genuine, unobserved peace settle around her, Tammy Slaton knew one thing with absolute certainty. Choosing herself, choosing sanity, choosing a life beyond the spectacle, wasn't doom. It was the bravest, most necessary liberation she had ever fought for. The weight she shed now wasn't measured in pounds, but in the crushing burden of other people's expectations. And for the first time in a very long time, maybe ever, Tammy Slaton felt truly, defiantly light. The show might be over, but her story, finally hers alone to write, was just beginning. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.